COVID-19, the virus that broke out in the Chinese city of Wuhan in December 2019. Totally egalitarian in its sweep, the virus has spared no one, from 10 Downing Street to the refugee camps to anything in between across the world. With almost the complete shutdown of global activities, the roads across cities that roared with bustling traffic have fallen into an eerie silence. For a change, we could look away from our smartphone tweets and actually listen to the birds tweeting around. The medical fraternity of doctors and paramedics out in the front line in the combat against COVID-19 has to bear the brunt of the viral fury. In a demonstration of steely resolve, they are going ahead with testing, quarantining, treating and curing the infected, unmindful of their dangerous exposure to the virus. As the medicos struggle to contain the virus, the police are out on the streets in full force to monitor the government advisories on essential service maintenance and to control and prevent COVID-related enforcements. This calls for round-the-clock vigil across cities, on highways and sensitive border posts, which they do with utmost commitment. Very much like these public heroes, IndianOil has its own selfless warriors, catering to the very basic need of cooking gas to be delivered to millions of households, to keep the kitchen fires burning to feed the families during this difficult phase. With the options for dining out closed and demand for LPG going up with the need for more cooking at home, LPG marketing chain is taking the additional load. Indian delivery staff are on the move incessantly across the deserted streets and roads in remote markets, lugging the refills up and down the staircases and lifts. They also grapple with the sweltering summer and the looming risk of COVID's presence as they go about their work. The LPG group is also handling currently the Pradhan Mantri's Garib Kalyan Yojana of free cylinders for Ujjwala beneficiaries, seeking to help the underprivileged during these hard times when their earnings have been severely crippled.
In the retail sales front, we have been providing food and help to all those truckers who have been ferrying essentials and also to those migrants moving from one place to another. Besides this, during this COVID period, our team has been working exceedingly well in making the Dhruva compliance, and today our state office is the best in the country and they're number one in terms of Dhruva implementation. In LPG, our focus has always been in giving free cylinders to the PMUY customers, and at the same time it's really heartening to note that we were able to bring down the backlog to minimum level, and which is historically the lowest for Tamil Nadu state office. It's nearly 1 day. And on the learning front for most of our officers, we can see that most of the officers have done exceedingly well in Swadhyaya and they have completed many courses, and then we were one of the front runners in terms of Swadhyaya learning implementation.
So is the case with our customer attendants across our retail network, fueling through the lockdown effectively to ensure that fuel for essential transportation, emergency services, and government vehicles engaged in lockdown enforcement duties is always available. All through the lockdown, IndianOil has been focusing on protecting and insulating these frontline warriors and all employees working out of their operating locations and offices, and the residents of IndianOil residential colonies from harmful contaminations, ensuring that all the personal protective care is provided to them as per corporate advisories on safety. Our channel partners in LPG and retail functions have overwhelmingly risen to the occasion, strictly adhering to COVID-related precautions absolutely taking care of their frontline staff through this difficult phase.
All your staff, various workers at your LPG filling plant and so on, they all, along with our own distributors and cooking as delivery boys and mechanics, they all risen to the occasion and working like one family and keeping up supplies to the esteemed customers.
Throughout the lockdown, all our bottling plants, crucial back end of the LPG delivery chain, have been operating to their full capacity. Sometimes through the holidays, to meet the expanding demand for LPG smoothly. Intense COVID-related screening procedures are now part of all our operating locations to make them absolutely safe to work. All vehicles entering the locations are given hydrogen peroxide blended disinfectant wash through sprinklers, besides comprehensive sanitizer spray for disinfecting. Personnel, including the truck crew and other stakeholders entering the locations, have to wash and sanitize their hands. While thermal guns record body temperature to identify COVID symptoms, on the TT filling ramps and the filling sheds, abundant precautions are taken by way of frequent disinfectant sprays, impeccable housekeeping, and absolute adherence to wearing of protective equipment, including masks. In view of the truck crew being left without food on the highways owing to lockdown restrictions, distribution of food packets is done invariably across most of the operating locations.
It was also a challenge to motivate and keep the head high of our dealers, the customer attendants, the deliverymen and the LPG agencies, because of the simple fact that they were not only to operate in the open but to also handle customers, and the fear of COVID-19 was very great. In this trying time, we used the digital medium of VCs to connect with the officers at the supply point, officers in LPG bottling plants, officers who were handling critical services like administration, as also we had huge number of VCs with the stakeholders like dealers, distributors, and we could connect to them on the importance of supply chain working in the state of Karnataka. A grand job was done by each and everybody in Karnataka state office, right from the lowest man to the topmost man. I also take this opportunity to thank our collectives as well as the IOA members for an excellent and outstanding support in this hour of crisis.
Amidst the ongoing disruptions, as scheduled at the stroke of the midnight on March 31st, India moved to the era of BS6 fuels, ushering in the promise of a much cleaner environment. With all our laboratories well equipped to testing the fuels for the new BS6 standards. Even as the grounded domestic and international carriers sit on the airport tarmacs with the ban on flying, IndianOil's aviation fueling stations have been engaged in refueling of aircrafts on critical missions, including sorties of the defense forces, evacuation of stranded foreign nationals, air ambulances flying on medical emergencies, and flights carrying cargo.
When the entire nation was forced to go under lockdown, we at IndianOil had to step up our activities. In the initial days of lockdown, because of panic, the demand for LPG has increased almost to the tune of 27%, more than the normal. The various stakeholders, whether it is our own employees, the contract labor, or the transport drivers, transporters, the initial challenge was more psychological. There was this fear of unknown. People were reluctant to come. This challenge was overcome by various initiatives that we had taken at the bottling plants. All the personal protective equipment, the masks, the sanitizers, and even the cylinders in the entire operations were sanitized. There are many retail outlets which had provided food for the migrant laborers who were traveling back to their homes during these days. Coordination with police was very important, and let me be on record, we received tremendous cooperation from the police of both the states. Overall, we are very happy the way we have ensured supplies in these difficult times.
There is another inevitable fallout of the lockdown. In line with the mandatory social distancing norms, employees of our administrative offices have been working out of home or attending offices in fewer numbers. But this has not come in the way of general administration of our business during this phase. With the functional groups in our state and regional offices having adapted fluently to working from home through video conferencing options and digitalized workflow of documents, they are regularly getting connected to their colleagues, not only within the company, but with other stakeholders as well, across the country. The Information Systems Group supports these initiatives seamlessly, technically enabling all such interfaces.
Kerala was the first state in India to report COVID cases. Initially, there was enormous fear among different stakeholders. It was a huge challenge to keep the morale of the team high. We could win their confidence by creating awareness and adopting a series of safety measures. Domestic LPG witnessed a huge growth of 35%. Our LPG team did a wonderful job in spite of several challenges such as closure of borders, road blockades, hotspot issues, quarantine homes, etc. The delivery of cylinders to the customers increased to 1,15,000 cylinders as against 96,000 cylinders a day. Our supply locations, dealer and distributor network, delivery boys and customer attendants in the ROs overcame the individual fears and did a commendable job. We were ably supported by the government. Our regular interaction with the Food and Civil Supplies Department, district collectors and police department helped us a lot. Our team was also inspired by the guidance received through video conference with the top management. It is the unwavering spirit of IOCNs of Kerala State Office that is making things happen for us.
During the lockdown, with most of the employees having to work out of their homes, they have been actively encouraged by the L&D Group to enhance their interfunctional and interdivisional knowledge through e-learning by taking up Swadhyay courses. This initiative has met with an enthusiastic response from IOCNs who have done a record number of courses. During the early lockdown phase, when anxious LPG customers went into a state of panic booking for refills, intensive briefing of the media by us and the consequent positive coverage by them helped stabilizing the market disruptions besides enhancing IndianOil's image as a trusted corporate, caring for its customers through turbulent times.
Across southern region, the do's and don'ts pertaining to the COVID-19 advisories have been observed meticulously in letter and spirit. Be it the bottling plants, the terminals, the AFSs, the lube plants, the administrative offices, the business and logistic partners, the entire stakeholders I mentioned have done a commendable job by way of catering to the energy needs of the region. The management, the location in charges, the collectives, the district administration, the labor authorities, all have collaborated to ensure that the entire business processes are carried out without any kind of holding up, keeping the COVID precautionary measures like social distancing, face masks, and sanitizing in mind. When it comes to the administrative offices, the employees' mood, their morale have all been kept buoyant, and they have been kept extensively engaged by remaining connected through video conferencing, getting the business processes done through ECMS, and by encouraging one and all across levels to subscribe to the online learning modules, thereby upskilling their knowledge and skill.
On the positive side, the lockdown has amply brought out the innate altruism in all of us, making us reach out to the needy public and poor outside, our business domain, to help them in whatever way we can. Contributions have been flowing generously across the network to those in need, from the corporation, channel partners and employees in the form of money, grocery, food, masks, disinfectants and so many other ways. Today, through all the existing constraints, we continue to bring energy to life, no matter what it takes to carry out this responsibility, because the nation always comes first for us. We'll continue to hold on to this commitment forever, since, as IOCNs, we work not just to achieve our business objectives, but for the much larger purpose of contributing to a critical national cause.